The little girl was terrified and found a bad dog hiding behind the iron bucket. She saw the little girl and came to the side. The girl panicked and kept backing away. She didn't stop yelling at her busy father. "Harry, don't move. All right, don't be scared. Just stay right there." Her father wanted to call for attention, but the dog's target was obviously not her. The little girl was afraid and backed off again. She had already retreated to the edge of the deep pit. Seeing her father so panicked, she picked up a stone and tried to drive the bad dog away from her. But not long after, her father woke up from his panic. 10 centimeters away from his head was a protruding steel bar. He was finally safe. When he slowly got up, he found his wife Anna holding his daughter. His daughter was fine. She just kept saying her arm hurt. It could have been a fracture. Her father, Jack, didn't dare to delay. He picked up his daughter and drove her back to the car. He hurried to the hospital not far away, but no one knew. From that moment on, a very strange thing happened to Jack. The wind was blowing all the way. Jack drove his daughter to the nearest hospital. Unfortunately, it was Sunday. The hospital was full of patients. Jack was worried about his daughter, but the doctor told him to wait in line. He had no choice but to go back to his seat and explain everything to his wife. Suddenly, Jack found that everyone around him was staring at him like they were watching a monster. Fortunately, they didn't wait too long. In the end, his daughter was arranged to go to the ward. A doctor named Bellin came to treat the girl. Bellin was examined and examined. The judgment may be an arm fracture, but it still needs to be broken down to further confirm. Then, with Anna's company, he and the caretaker pushed Perry into the elevator. Jack stayed outside and waited. He said goodbye to his family. He looked at the elevator and went to the second floor. Jack thought it was just a brief separation. He didn't know that his family would be separated forever. "I don't know how long it will take." Until sunset. Jack said the same thing he said when he separated from his family just now. He was woken up by the black man next to him. Jack woke up a little. He looked out the window and found that the sun was about to set. It had been a few hours and his wife's daughter had not appeared. He hurried to the front desk to ask about his daughter's examination, but he was told that the early shift was dealing with it. They had just changed shifts. Jack's family may be back soon. When Jack said he wanted to see Dr. Bellin, he was also told that Bellin had already gotten off work. There would be other doctors to continue his work. He came to the front desk again to ask. This time he was told that there was no record of Jack's daughter's hospitalization at all. Jack was a little out of control. How could this be possible? A large number of registrations were made when he came at 9 o'clock in the morning. He even said the name of the caretaker who helped them, but what he answered was that everyone had changed shifts. The woman was scared. She had to pick up the phone to ask about the little girl. The result was that she had been scanning for a 60-year-old man all day and did not receive anyone. What the hell is going on? Jack clearly saw his family being pushed into the elevator, but now he is inexplicably gone. Jack must figure out what happened. He took the opportunity to sneak into the ward, and then quickly came to the sickbed, where his daughter had stayed. Unexpectedly, there was a strange face behind the curtain. The security guard behind him suddenly appeared to control Jack. The new doctor, Luca, also appeared at this time. He probably heard Jack explain what was going on. He wanted to rush to the woman, but was controlled by two security guards and was injected with a certain amount of sedative. Then he was thrown into a small room. Jack pretended to obey, but when the security guard closed the door and left, Jack suddenly opened his eyes and then swung up. He took out a kidney clue from it. He opened it, but he didn't even think about it, and he pinched his own thigh. He felt that his head was still muddled. He opened his eyes again, and then he had a double hemorrhage. At this time, the man estimated that even a tiger would dare to fight with him. When he saw that the door couldn't be opened, he quickly took a towel and stuck it in his hand. Then he punched the glass with a hammer. When he opened the door, the security guards were terrified. The man quickly left and locked him in his room. The man's name was Jack. His wife and daughter disappeared in this hospital for no reason. He was also locked up by the hospital security guards. In order to find his missing family, Jack had to make this move. He searched everywhere and finally found the caretaker who took his family away in a ward. But at this time, the security guards who found Jack running away were chasing him quickly. As the two of them chased me in a narrow passage, Jack rushed out of the building first. When the security guard Jack chased out, he had lost the figure of the target. Jack had no choice but to leave first. Jack hid in the trash can. Jack hid in the trash can. He got up quickly and got into his car. He was thinking about how to find his family. Suddenly, he found a police car in the rearview mirror. He was about to leave. Jack explained in a panic. He said he would take a picture of his wife and daughter. Jack didn't seem to be lying. The security guard took him to the hospital. When the front desk saw it, he called the security guard nervously. Then the doctor, Lucado, followed suit. Faced with the constable's interrogation, Lucado insisted that he had never seen Jack's family. At this time, Jack mentioned that his family was in the inspection room. Lucado said he could take everyone to the inspection room on the 3rd floor to check the records. Jack found it wrong because he saw his wife and daughter taking the elevator to the 2nd floor. Lucado took everyone to the 3rd floor at random. According to the records of the inspection room, there was no name of Jack's daughter, Perry. Even so, Jack still didn't believe it, because it was easy to change the records. At this time, the doctor on duty in the morning was finally stopped. Jack was like grabbing a life-saving straw, but Perry's words made him freeze. Only Jack came in the morning. He didn't see any little girl. He heard that Jack was having a breakdown here, but he still insisted that he was right. It was the people in the hospital and the fire that kidnapped his family. At this time, Lucado suddenly stood up and pointed at the surveillance camera above his head. That's when everyone reacted. They began to check the recordings during the day. When everyone was about to leave, Jack suddenly thought of something. He found his daughter's scarf under the sickbed. This is evidence that his family has appeared. Jack once again confirmed his thoughts. This time, Lucado brought a person. He may be able to solve all this. The person is a psychologist named Theresa. He had a private conversation with Jack when Jack told him everything. Theresa seemed to understand something. He suggested to the constable that if he wanted to find out everything, he could only go to the place where his daughter was born. He came to the deep pit where the girl was born in the daytime. The police force sent out soon found something. They kept running into the ground at the bottom of the pit. Everyone hurried up and found that it was a broken makeup box. It belonged to the little girl. The constable then opened the ground and found blood. A large amount of blood suddenly appeared. Jack hurried to explain that it was his own blood. The broken head was left behind, but the constable corrected that such a large number of normal people would not live. Jack could not answer. Suddenly, he thought of some emotion and began to lose control. Theresa took the opportunity to come forward. He said his own guess. It must be Jack who saw his wife die. After being hit hard, his brain was confused. Maybe there was no evil power at all. It was Jack who pushed his daughter into the deep pit. At this time, Jack was in a collapse. He collapsed on the ground. Is everything really like what Theresa said? At this time, the two constables quickly came forward and prepared to put on the handcuffs. But at this time, everyone suddenly heard the police dogs flying wildly. They looked up. The bad dog appeared again during the day. Okay, just gonna scare him. Jack realized that he was right. He quickly reacted. He grabbed the constable's gun and grabbed Theresa. Then he locked everyone in the building next to him. Then he took out the iron frame and trapped them all inside. Jack drove back to the hospital without stopping for a moment, because he believed his family was still there. Jack walked into the hospital. He hid and saw his familiar face. Then he got on the elevator to the 2 floors below. He successfully came to the place where his wife disappeared. It was written on the box pushed by the nurse that the human organ was clearly written on it. Is this the truth of the disappearance of his family? Jack can never let his wife become a cold corpse. He quietly approached and quickly entered the room just now. There were 2 bodies inside. Jack shook his hands and opened his eyes. The terrible scene almost made Jack faint on the spot. One person was hollowed out. The other person's eyeballs were taken off. At this time, there was a sudden noise outside. Someone walked in through the door with a box. Jack quickly walked out of the room after observing. Then he followed closely and came to the door where the woman entered just now. He suddenly found that the woman he was looking for was lying there. Fortunately, Jack came in time. The woman was fine. He rapidly made the people in front of him take off their masks. It was indeed Lucado who deceived everyone and the assistant. Jack was furious and was ready to take his daughter away. Who knew that Lucado was talking to Jack in an inexplicable way? It wasn't what he saw. Jack didn't care so much. He found the same fainted wife Anna. Finally, he took his daughter and was ready to leave. At this time, someone still wanted to come forward. Jack shot directly to stop him. He broke the oxygen pipe. He shocked everyone and the whole family and was ready to leave. But at this time, a huge impact turned everyone upside down. Jack took the opportunity to leave. He pushed the family on the wheelchair and was ready to escape. At this time, 2 more people appeared and wanted to stop him. Jack didn't talk nonsense and shot directly to hit this person's knee. Then he left quickly without looking back. Finally, Jack's endless efforts made him return to his family. Looking at the cute girl behind the wheelchair, Jack felt that everything was worth it. But is that really the case? Next, he found out that he had been deceived for more than an hour. Because this is the truth of everything. Through the rearview mirror, the person sitting in the back row was not Jack's family at all, but a strange young man who was undergoing a blockade operation. Everything Jack found out was all his imagination. When his daughter fell into the deep pit at the beginning, she had lost her life. Jack's wife found his dead daughter and was pushed on the steel barbed wire. Jack couldn't accept this fact. He blocked this memory subconsciously and then made up the illusion that the family was fine. At this moment, his wife and daughter were in the trunk of his car. Until then, Jack was still in a state of self-created consciousness and couldn't pull himself out. He didn't know what he was doing.